Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge using he, him pronouns. Welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. And today I'm excited for three huge reasons. Two reasons right there are Figgins and Casey are on the show. So how you guys doing today?
Good. Happy solstice.
Happy solstice, everybody. This is Casey, he, him pronouns.
Figgins, they, them.
I love the beards. I love the hats. What's going on?
I mean, it's the winter solstice. It's the darkest day of the year.
Yeah.
It's a good day to burn a giant log, a Yule log.
Yeah. Should I make a fire maybe later?
Depends if you're staying there. I mean, we could walk down and join you.
Yeah, we got to figure that out then. So have you done anything special so far today besides braid your beards?
Yes, we did a winter solstice tarot draw, and we also looked back on our fall equinox draw to see how did that actually turn out, and was it useful? Yes, it was.
Yes. It's most fun to kind of go back and look and be like, how did this play out, right? Like, what was there for me to learn there?
I think I have to look back more often, keep it in mind, because like this one for the winter solstice is like, beware burnout, beware. Yeah.
Oh, is that what it was saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I drew a couple cards from the deck you all made the other day, and those conversations were great. Shannon and I just answered them, and that was amazing. Yay! It was amazing.
No,
so I'm getting into a little too far into some of your projects, maybe. But I also want to mention to everybody, today is show 100. So another kind of milestone, kind of a random number in some ways, but we're in the triple digits now. So welcome to the 100th show on winter solstice with two of my biggest supporters. I'm big fans of you all.
Right.
And friends, exactly right. I don't mean to diminish it into institutional talk. But before we get too far on just chit-chatting, why don't you tell us all something about yourselves and some of the projects you're working on?
You want to go first, or me?
Sure. Well, something about me. I've been a farmer for 10 years. I've raised chickens, pigs, cows, fruits, vegetables, all sorts of things. And so living in an urban environment now, again, is different and challenging. And so I'm hopefully finding some access to land to grow perennials and distribute perennials for people to start in their own properties. So, yeah.
So I teach game design over at Michigan State University, and we make games together. That's what we spend a lot of time doing. Is there anything else interesting about me?
Well, I'm always curious about like where you were born and raised, if you're comfortable talking about that.
Sure. I was born and raised in Denver, Colorado. Lived in Colorado for most of my life until I moved here.
So I moved around a lot. So I was born in Des Moines, Iowa, and kind of moved around different parts of Iowa. In high school, I moved to Colorado, and then I moved back to Iowa, and then I moved to California, and then I moved back to Iowa, and then I moved to New York, and then I moved to Georgia, and then I moved to Michigan, and I actually really love Michigan. So
we both moved here in 2012, totally separate of each other. Fall of 2012.
We met almost exactly. I mean, we're approaching
5 years. Yeah.
5 years we met.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So why don't you tell us, you want to start with the freestands and we talk about that project?
Yes.
And can we talk about game design a little bit and the games you're doing? Is that also okay? All right. So let's start with the freestands.
Yeah. Well, I can share screen and show a picture. Let's see. Sure. So, can you see this?
Yep.
All right. So, here are the freestands.
The first little freestand.
This is the one here at the Fledge. And we have a second cooler and a trash can now. This is the newest one here, which is in southeast Lansing, just off of Pennsylvania and Rio, kind of around there. Or no, Louisa.
That's Louisa.
Yeah. So we now have 3, and we just built the 4th. Let's see. And here we have a Facebook group, and we run pretty much everything through Facebook and through Messenger.
Yep.
We're trying to get a little more organized and do like calendars and scheduling and all that. So people can post if they drop off food, if they're like, hey, I'm planning to cook for some folks. I'm looking for people to cook for. Here's the newest one, which we made yesterday at the Fledge. And we just need to put the panels on the sides, and then we'll transport it to its new home. Here's a donation. We got this yesterday from City Market, Meyer City Market, and it was gone in less than 2 hours. And that was great. That was great. It's a good thing that Michigan's mostly a fridge freezer right now. So.
Yes.
All right.
So when I saw that photo of the freestand, you know, that's one of the things I see every day. I mean, I'm here every day. I do my show from here every day. And when you all brought that to us, I was so ecstatic. I mean, I think it is beautiful. I think it is just so many things about it. Just that whole thing just has a good vibe. And I was, you know, I pulled in up this morning and saw the other freestand, and I was like, I'm loading that one up too. It just gets me so excited.
Well, we were talking last night, like, for sure, like, well, what's the aesthetic of the freestand?
Yeah. And so we use pretty much all pallets to build them, except for the roof, which we do purchase. It's steel roofing. And then the sides, we've tried a couple different things, tarps, canvas. Right now, it's recycled plastic, which seems to work really well. People usually use them for their showers, or restaurants will use it in their kitchen because it's really nice, easy to keep clean. It's waterproof. It's mold resistant, all that stuff. So I think what we want to work on the next few weeks is wheat pasting a bunch of stuff on there. And then it'll be really, I think, a punk aesthetic, like recycled, upcycled, wheat pasted. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
The one at the Fledge really looks like it has lived there forever. I love how it just meshes with the Fledge.
It does. Yes, it does.
I don't think I can remember that yard not having the freestand in it. So yeah, it is beautiful, and it matches perfectly. So, you know, when we know about free little libraries, we know about free little pantries, and the freestands, is this just a free little pantry on steroids, or is it a different kind of type of movement that goes along with the freestand?
I'm glad you asked. I mean, I took a lot of influence from different places. Some of it was the little free pantries. At the time before we started off this, I was reading the Food Not Lawns book, and in it the author talks about a free box. It can be a cardboard box or a wooden box, and it's just some place that people in the neighborhood can drop things off so someone can take them. One man's trash is another man's treasure. So I really like that idea, and they're like, oh, you know, you can put a roof over it, you can get a little bit fancy with it, you know, for a box. So I wanted that because, you know, I was making masks and I wanted to be able to give them away, not just to, you know, like the hospitals, but to my neighbors. But I wanted to really help with food as well. And so the little free pantries are great, but it's mostly people buying goods from the grocery stores. And to me, that's not terribly sustainable. Like, you can't get a lot of fresh produce, dairy, meat. So we took a sort of an tack from Food Not Bombs as well. So it's sort of 3 different things that are influencing here. Food Not Bombs rescues food that would go to waste, from dumpsters, from grocery stores that are going to throw it out, from farmers. So we added coolers so that we could really take on that waste and it could be recycled, redistributed through the neighborhood.
So is that a really unique design stand? Is that something that you guys have come up with, or did you draw on a lot of designs from all over the place?
Well, so we found one image on Pinterest of a pallet stand.
We could not find like who made it or anything like that.
And it was clear that they took a pallet and they bought some 2x4s and slapped it together.
And then put some roofing over it. No sides at all.
Yeah.
And it was just like a free produce stand. And we're like, whoa.
I think we had a pallet in the back courtyard, and we were looking at it, and we're like, we could do this with just free pallets.
Yeah. Because like when I was farming, I used to use pallets for making thaws, for making shelves, drying cabinets, all sorts of stuff. So it's very versatile. You just got to know how to use it.
Yeah. When you put the first one up, I think the Fledge was the first one.
Yep.
And how many did you want to do? What's your goal?
Our goal was to make one.
Our goal was to make one.
Well, good job.
We are on number 4 now. No, I mean, I was helping with Lansing Area Mutual Aid at the time, and we made it during the heat wave in the summer too.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Outside.
And we carried it 2 blocks.
And then we carried it 2 blocks to house it because we don't have a truck. But after that, I was just like, listen, I can help others make this. I can make it in Instructables, and there is an Instructables out there, so you can kind of make your own. I know I'm not trained as a builder, so I can't make a schematic and stuff. But there's pictures, there's a description. But I just told them, like, I can't make them all. Yeah. I want other people to start doing this, just like people make their own little free pantries.
And then other people came along and said, "Can I get one?" And so we said, "I guess we can make another one."
Yep. Yeah. We had a few people like start to help us out with sanding and painting, and so we're like, well, "Okay, we'll keep making them." So here we are on number 4.
Yeah, but you had a workshop on how to make them, and you've put your design out into the groups and the internet and all of that.
Yep.
And hopefully it'll just continue to take off, right?
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah.
So the other thing, so I think the freestands are, I mean, it's beautiful and it's super fledgy. You don't mind me say that. I mean, one, because it's white and purple, so it matches, which is a great aesthetic. But to be built out of reclaimed almost everything, and to really set that tone as to what this was going to be about is just amazing. And then you build this Facebook group and get the chats going, and that just blew up. And do you want to talk about that a little bit more? I mean, it's been
that was actually your fault.
No, I didn't say. Oh, no. Blew up like expanded, got big.
The number of people.
The number of people.
Yeah.
It blew up because you have a friend who's working for City Market, and once you started getting those giant donations, I had to start pushing it to all these free groups so it would move and nothing would go to waste. And so they started joining the group. So it's all your fault.
All your fault. In a good way, Jerry. In a kind of good way.
We were growing sustainably before that. Now we just can't get enough.
Well, I think it's been amazing. And, that we got a lot of friends in other organizations that come and visit the Fledge. And our friends from the village were over the other day, and they were just, they're doing food distribution and stuff like that. But Michael was sitting in his car eating a sandwich and just watching. And he was amazed that somebody comes up and grabs something, and then he sees someone else come up, and he's like, "Oh, that stand's going to be empty real soon." But the other person was putting something in, and then it was almost, he said, like taking turns. One person was showing up, putting something in. One person was showing up, taking something out. And how many of those drivers that help us deliver do you think we initially met because they were coming to get something, but they just wanted to get involved? They wanted to show the love.
A lot. Mm-hmm.
I'd say a lot of the people that do deliveries are also helping themselves, but helping others. And, and I think that's part of the point, right? Like if you have the means, you can just help. But if you need help, you can also still help. And so it's just this
it's a good feedback loop.
Yeah. It's been spectacular to watch. It's so cool. And there's always hiccups that we might have here and there, and I guess I'm trying to pull something out of you there, Figgins, because I love what you always tell me, especially if I'm starting to get frustrated or worried or, think we're taking too much risk with something. You always got a good phrase for me, and I'm pulling it out of you.
I say we are all still learning, and we need to be kind to each other when we're learning. Yeah. I mean, as Octavia Butler said, kindness eases change.
Yeah.
And I feel like part of what makes the little freestands so beautiful is like we're just trying something different, right? Not trying to do the same thing again.
It's an experiment, and we're trying to remain flexible and adaptable so that it can keep changing as it needs to.
Yeah, it's. I can't even. I will talk to you for 15 years. I told you if we had that amount of time, because the freestand teaches me a lot, and the community around the freestand teaches me a lot, and you two teach me a lot. I'm always. Well, I can't see your faces right now, but I was going to say I can always love seeing your faces.
It's good to see you, DJ. We love that the Fledge is so close and we can participate in the ways we do.
I've been able to meet so many people and neighbors through this that I never would have been able to before.
Yeah, and I think we have a whole new crowd of people that know about the Fledge and the work that we're all doing together and the message, I guess, we're trying to spread. So thank you for that. Game design. You want to throw some code up on the screen there, Casey, and show it? No, I'm just kidding.
So, Figgins and I mostly work in non-digital form, right? So making physical card games, but also in the time of COVID, that's a really hard thing because it's like getting people together to play games. So we are thinking about the digital, but yeah, we mostly think in non-digital and like getting people.
Well, we are so close on an online card browser so that you can play online on your browser. Yeah, so close.
So tell us a couple of the games that you've made or that you're working on right now, if you don't mind.
Tell about that.
Sure. So the company is Affinity Games, and we consider ourselves more of a collective, and we collaborate on these projects. Primarily, we take no profit. We only do really donation-based. So Patreon, all of the digital copies, because you can download a PDF and print it out, they're free. If you want to order a physical copy, I think we charge maybe $2 or $4 is what we take, but it's usually at cost. And the focus of our games is conversation, dialogue, helping people sort of similarly mutual aid,
connect with one another. Fellowship of Fools, the first one. Yeah. Oops. We wanted to make a dating game.
Yes.
And we realized that people aren't always very good at just basic conversation.
Or just basic friendship.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Making friends, keeping friends. Yeah. Maintaining friendships.
Yeah. So in 2018, in the summer of 2018, we made FOF. Like we'd been playing with this Fellowship of Fools.
Fellowship of Fools.
Yeah. And it wasn't like until like a year later that we were able to kind of do the
more dating side. Romance is one deck and sexuality is another deck. And we hope to, when we have time, make a kink deck and a community deck.
We also made a game about toxic masculinity.
Yes.
And this was the last game that I got before sort of lockdown hit.
Yep. We made it in January.
Yeah. We read this paper by Peggy Orenstein about young boys and sex, and
young boys meaning like up to 20.
Yeah. Right. So teenage and young men, and just their relationship with sex. And it made me so sad.
And with each other, the kind of friendships that they have, where it's egging each other towards really not good behavior.
Yeah.
You say that. Yeah.
And so we got real sad and then decided to make a game about it.
Yep. And for this one, we've made sort of a second one using the same sort of design, and it's for pandemic, exploring the hazardous aspects of the pandemic, which there are many. But the games usually end with a positive turn, a could prompt. So like, how could you organize your workplace so that you feel safer? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
How could you help somebody who can't pay their rent?
Yeah, and so then we've also kind of open sourced this so that anyone can make their own hazmat deck based on a different topic. That could be education, sexuality, government, policing, whatever you want. Please make it.
Can you talk about Meg's game?
Oh, yes. The newest.
Yes.
You go ahead.
So, Jerry, you introduced us and Meg. Meg does Death Cafe, now virtually now, but and so talking with people about end of life plans, hospice, like the celebration of life, like the sort of death, all of the things around death that we don't really like to talk about. And so we wanted to make a conversation game with her about that. And we kind of used her model of this mandala, flower-shaped mandala. And we let's see, we have a couple different influences: color theory, and sort of like the meaning behind colors, sort of chakra, and the Kubler-Ross sort of stages of death theory. And so it's, do we have a photo? I think we've got photos. Yeah. We can pull up the photo. So each color has its light side and its dark side. Yeah. Red can be pain and strength, but it can also be strength. And so we tried to make prompts that correlate to those sort of emotions or states of mind. And so each card, you can do screen share. Each card contains a light and a dark sort of prompt for, there you go, for that color and what it's associated with. So yellow here is shock as the sort of negative, and insight for the positive. So what scares you about getting older? What do you think would shock you? And then which of your senses are you most grateful for and why? That's insight into your body and maybe how it could age.
So you gave Shannon and I a deck of Fellowship of Fools the other day. And I don't know how to play the game, if you will, right now. We haven't studied that far, but I had it. And we were laying in bed and we just pulled out one of the cards. And what shocked me is that it wasn't necessarily like we have a great relationship. We're talking all of the time, but the question was something that we forget to talk about. And it was we did one card and had one conversation, and it impacted us tremendously. This is important. This is important work.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The freestands, super important work. This is super important work too.
Is also extremely important.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that I didn't think it was going to be that impactful. I just don't know why I didn't think about that, but it was. And I recommend everybody check this out because there's a lot of stuff we got to talk about. So we're going to need a lot of decks.
FOFgame.com.
Yes.
We'll get you to it.
And the PDFs are free online. You can download them, just play them on your phone like that, or you can print them out and play them.
FOFgame.com.
Yes.
And it's the friendship, romance, and sexuality are all out there for free. And hopefully I will then be able to take our current card browser and do it for all the games.
Yes, adapt them as well. Yeah, so there are many ways to play because it's based on the tarot. And the tarot is just so adaptable for so many uses, storytelling, introspection, conversation. We have some modes that are for sort of more RPG, like GM modes. And players can, for any of our games, submit their ideas for prompts for cards or other ways they think you can play with them. So we try to have this sort of participatory design culture.
Yeah. It's amazing. So there's 2 huge projects. You want to tell us about the 23 more that you've probably got going on too? Or, are there any other big projects that you're working on? Or
I still need to make you an outdoor closet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We got all kinds of time.
Yeah, until the snow's 2 feet deep. We'll get there.
And I still have the hops. We got to brew some beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what, it's hard to kind of put my arms around what your, like, if you have individual missions, if you have mission of your partnership, is there a different mission for the games than there is the freestand? How would you kind of sum up what your mission is? Just to be decent people?
No, I mean, yes, but I can say one word, anarchy. We're your friends, neighborhood anarchists.
Not so scary.
And, how would you describe, all right, so you just, all of the people that are scared of anarchy are just shook a little bit by you saying that. How would you describe what anarchist is to the non-anarchist person? Because everyone, I think, thinks purge.
Right, I know.
I'm grabbing your beard.
I'm losing some. This is made out of yarn. So.
Well, you go first, and I'll go after you.
Sure. So, I mean, anarchy comes from the Greek, meaning like without rulers. That doesn't mean we don't have rules. It's more so we don't have rulers, monarchs, popes, that sort of thing. Instead, we learn how to govern ourselves. And that's usually based on community agreed upon values, visions. And that can be a project has an agreed value and vision. We decide how to live with each other. So this means direct democracy. It means also autonomy, mutual aid, solidarity. Those are the values of anarchism.
And it often means you have to talk to other people.
A lot of talking. Yeah, a lot of talking.
So another part of it for me is like, sometimes, I think when people think about anarchy, it's like, well, nobody will ever do anything. It's like, actually, no, I think like clearly, like we didn't have to make these games. We didn't have to make a freestand, but we wanted to. And because it's fun to put good into the world. And like, so we know more about making games. And so we put those into the world, but that may not have an effect. But like, and I don't know that much about building, but if I can learn enough to help, I can step in.
We all have a lot of skills, knowledge, resources. Sorry,
That's
our
neighbors.
two neighbors.
No worries.
Capabilities, but so often we are not able to utilize them because we're stuck 40 hours a week at a job that drains our life. And capitalism alienates us from each other, from our work. We have to find, sorry, our neighbors. We have to find ways to reconnect with each other. And through, common interests, common goals, projects, that's where we start.
And it's been so fun to get to know you. We had lived here for a while before we finally came over to the Fledge. And even when we first came over, we were like, man, we need to check this out because it seems so cool. And it wasn't until after COVID.
Yeah, we kept being like, they hold a game night there. We should go and play our game with them. But we are actually kind of hermits and really like introverts. So yeah, that was scary. Yeah.
What I think, the way you just defined it, the many conversations we all have had, outside and all of that. I think people think anarchy is when the institutions in the government and all of the corporations collapse, there will be anarchy. But what I think you've really demonstrated to me and others around here is that it will be the anarchist who will be there when that collapse happens. It will be the people that are growing their own food and making their own stuff and aren't highly, I guess, addicted to consumerism or whatever it is. Do you think that's truism?
I mean, it's not just anarchists. I think it was
Wow.
Rebecca Solnit's book, Hope in the Dark, looking at disasters. I mean, Hurricane Katrina, Sandy. It's when there is a disaster, people pull together and they help each other. That is our natural inclination, is to cooperate. And so if people think that, anarchy is the collapse of government and these institutions, I would say they're already failing. Anarchy is us saving each other, rather than relying on state institutions to save us.
And rather than worrying, helping people get out of this scarcity mindset and into kind of an abundance mindset, where it's like, rather than, these many of the institutions force us into a scarcity mindset, which is why it's so hard to conceive of a world of abundance. But most anarchists, you look at like the autonomous zones in Seattle, and it's like, here, would you like this? Like, are you hungry? Do you need water? Like, it's helping one another because it just comes naturally to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So is there something you do every damn day that pushes anarchy forward? Or your mission forward?
We talk to each other. We ask each other questions every damn day.
And we push each other too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not just, it's like, well, what about this? Or
have you thought about this?
So yeah, we talk every damn day.
It's like talking, but also giving each other feedback and knowing how to give feedback like in a helpful way. That's a skill.
Yeah, we're like,
we've had to learn.
I'm disappointed, right? Like, it's so hard to use our damn words.
Yeah, English is a horrible language. I also, Figgins, you've often given me gentle reminders. And I love that phrase, and I love your approach towards it. And I just want to put that shout out there too. So we daisy chain the shows together. So yesterday we had Junk in the Trunk, who they basically will clear out a house that maybe a hoarder lived in, or maybe it's an estate sale or something like that. And their mission is to not let that stuff go into landfills and to, create a, basically a low profit, break even business that does that. And they had a question for you. And the question is, how many people do you think that you've helped? And they're talking about freestands in particular, but you could answer that in so many ways that you want.
Mm-hmm.
But how would you answer that question?
Don't know. Not going to keep track. That sounds like work, like a job. That sounds like something a nonprofit would do.
Yeah, but I think the people that I see, but also a whole lot of people we don't see, because like one person may come and pick up for 5 families, and so there's no way to really know. And I just, like, we've talked a lot about this, and it's just, we just have a whole lot of faith that people are helping each other with the help that we've managed to cobble together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not interested in tracking it or limiting people to only so much. We trust people to make the decisions that are best for them and to help each other.
And I think, that lack of barrier where you don't have to fill out a form, you don't have to show an ID, all of those things just makes the stand so much of a safer place and more accessible to some that would be either shut out because they live just outside of the city limits or not in the right zip code, or even some people. I'll often see people I don't quite know. They maybe are driving a fancy car and they drop something off, but they don't know that I saw them drop something off. So they're like, oh, I'm just dropping something off, because there's a certain stigma to some people about taking that food, and they don't want to be that stigma. Mm-hmm. But I think we share a common thing free food should be a basic right. We should be able to hunt and gather and all these different things for our food.
Mm-hmm.
And the Food Inc. has taken that away from us.
Yes. I mean, most grocery stores throw out 30 to 40% of their stock. And so we're just tapping just like a little bit into it. And there's really no reason why that should be happening. The reason why it's happening is because people aren't paid proper wages.
So they can afford the food that's on the shelf.
Afford the food that's on the shelf.
And so much of the food that shows up, like, is if it wasn't coming to us, it would be going to compost or pigs or
a landfill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can you want to say the phrase "people above pigs"?
Oh yes, people over pigs, please.
Yes.
They're in that hierarchy, like people over pigs, please.
Yep. Over compost, over
pigs, over landfills. Like let's just be people for free over that.
And it really proves that food is a basic right, and it could be free.
Yeah.
Michigan is the 15th highest food insecure state in the country, and there is no reason.
Yep.
And we grow the second most diverse crops in the nation as well, behind California.
So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We have tons of growers, tons of varieties, and tons of food insecurity. Doesn't make sense. And water. Quit screwing with our water.
Right?
They're selling
giant
water.
lakes on either side.
Water
should not be a problem here.
But wages not really kept up with cost of living for 30, 40 years. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So now on the show tomorrow, I've got a young man who is out in California living his dream. I think, I don't know, we'll find out tomorrow. And he's got a clothing brand where they upcycle clothing and they make T-shirts with zip around patches on them. So you can take the patch off, put a new patch on. It's a new T-shirt. And coats and everything. What question, his name is Max. What question would you like to ask Max tomorrow?
When we were talking before we got on the air, you were saying he was also with an environmental group.
Yes. Sorry. He's with a group called Force of Nature, which is a youth environmental kind of focused activist group. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think my question would be more focused on the activism part. Like, what is this group doing that differentiates it from other environmental climate change centered groups, Sunrise Movement and that? What's it doing differently? What's its focus? How does it see change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if we're allowed to get two questions, but my second one would be, what about this brings you joy?
Okay. I will definitely write that one down, but I'm going to flip both of those questions on you then. What, maybe we talked enough about it with the free little pantries, but what's different about the freestands or maybe even the games that kind of distinguishes you from things that other people are doing?
Sure.
You want to?
Well, I mean, I think with the fruit stands, we are not a food bank. We don't limit people to a certain number of items or only 2 bags. We don't police it. We're not going to be, breathing down your neck while you're picking up food, because we trust that people are taking what they need for themselves and people they know. And we're not going to be cops.
Yeah.
What else are we doing differently? Not buying shit.
We aren't buying shit. Yeah. When I helped out with Llama and with Food Not Bombs, they would still buy shit. We aren't buying shit. Some people are, and that's they're contributing in that way. So they'll buy cans and they'll contribute them. Some people they will go to the food bank and they will contribute the things that they just don't want. And they'll take something that they do.
To its core really is trying to buy as little as we can and just take what's already there and going to waste, and
redistribute it from the waste stream. Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
No, you go.
Well, now I was going to switch to the other question. What brings you joy with all this?
I've met so many great people. And like, this is COVID times. Like, I've met so many wonderful people that I think are my neighbors. Some of them are, some of them drive in from a little bit. And like, they gave me some cookies for the holidays. I'm like, yes, you don't have cookies. That's so sweet.
So my favorite thing is when I see a new little freestand going to a new home
In a truck.
and it's going down the street, and it's just this
It's like,
goofy little thing.
Go, little free stand.
Yep, every time I do it, the whole way all the way there, I'm like, go, little freestand. And that's what brings me joy, is like seeing those. I think
there are cute monsters.
they are. They're the ugliest little babies, and they're so wonderful.
Yeah.
I think it's gorgeous. So now the surprise of the show, which is I ask you a question that I didn't ask you before. What could you take us out with? If you could say something to everyone out there, what's some advice, but how'd you like to take us out?
Well, I think you get one and I get one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go first.
Oh, I gotta go first.
Too much pressure. I can go first.
Go ahead.
Okay. I would say another world is possible, and it's up to us to make it so. As we do it, we make it.
And I would say, give what you can, and just love the fact that you can give that. Take joy in that act of giving something, and don't worry what happens next.
Yeah, that's good. Give what you can. Take what you need.
You two are spectacular. I love you both so very much.
Love
True.
So damn happy that you built that freestand and got down here and have become part of part of my family, part of the Fledge family. And yeah, you two are amazing. So with that, there's another episode of Every Damn Day. Thank you for coming on the show, and we will see you later.